Hello and namaste. Today I want to go over really quickly some ways that we can stay more grounded and centered during the day. So when we hear about being grounded, being centered, what exactly does this mean? This essentially means being whole in mind, body, and spirit, so to speak. So this means that we are able to think clearly, we're able to focus, we're able to concentrate, we are emotionally stable, and we physically feel good. So overall, we have good overall general health. Some of the ways that if we are not feeling grounded, it would be opposite of having good overall health. So we may be feeling anxious, we may have a lot of fear surrounding us, not feeling very stable, or feeling very insecure, not feeling very comfortable in our physical body. So some ways that we can bring this feeling of centeredness and being more grounded into our day is, number one, we want to start with the breath. Anything that happens, we always want to be mindful of the breath and come back to the breath. This is going to be our rock, so to speak. This is going to be our anchor. So one simple exercise that we can start to do on a daily basis is just start to observe the breath. And when we do this, we'll want to take 5 breaths, for example, very shallow breaths, and observe this shallow breath and see what this shallow breath feels like within your body. It should create more anxiety. This shallow breath is what happens when we are scared or when we're fearful, when we have a lot of anxiety. And after we've taken these 5 short breaths, we want to go ahead and take 5 long, deep, relaxed breaths and observe the feeling you get after those 5 long, deep breaths. You'll notice that there's a large difference between the two. So when we talk about having more groundedness or being more centered, we want to remember these long, deep breaths and go ahead and do these breaths to bring that groundedness back into our life. We can go ahead and do this whenever we have confusion, when we feel confused, or when there's chaos in our life. Number 2 is going to be any yoga asanas, so that are grounding. Yoga asanas or yoga positions that are grounding are going to be those positions where we feel physically strong in our body. To get grounded, it simply means we have to feel that we're back in our body and we're not somewhere out here. So strong asanas such as chair pose or utkatasana, warrior 1 or 2 poses are excellent for those. Mountain pose is another very good, strong, grounding pose. In the morning, we can go ahead and take just 5 minutes of these, if maybe going from chair to mountain to warrior or whatever sequence you prefer. And that's going to help us physically get back into our body, to help us feel more secure, more stable, more connected to the physical realm. Number 3 is going to make sure that we're eating regular meals. Don't skip meals. Skipping meals, what that does is that's actually going to lower our blood sugar. When our blood sugar gets low, that means that we may not have enough glucose to go ahead and help the brain function, essentially. Glucose is what the brain runs on, and if that's low, we are not going to feel 100% at working capacity in our brain. So this is going to increase confusion, increase brain fog, increase this kind of scatterbrained kind of mentality. Being grounded means that we're eating regular meals. Food is physical, and we eat it, and it creates the physical body. So to get back into the body, make sure that we're eating regular meals, not skipping meals, not fasting for long periods of time. Number 4, and this kind of goes with number 3, when we do eat, make sure that those foods are heavy enough, that they are helping us to get back down to the earth, so to speak. Being ungrounded means that we're in outer space. We're not here anymore on the planet. So when we eat grounding foods, especially root vegetables, which roots grow deep into the ground, the roots, if you think of a tree, the roots are underneath the surface of the earth. So they have a really deep grounding effect. Root vegetables such as beets or turnips, radishes, carrots, potatoes, especially sweet potatoes, are really good, especially cooking them in a soup, for example, with some nice healthy oils, a nice rich milk like a coconut milk with some olive oil, and maybe some nutmeg or some spices that kind of give some warmth to the digestion. When we give warmth to the digestion, we can feel it physically inside of our body. And this naturally has a grounding effect. Plus, this is going to stimulate the pleasure centers of the brain, which is naturally going to make us feel good. It's going to make us feel nice and whole, secure, and stable. And the last thing is to, number 5, to reduce mental activity. So especially sometimes we have our smartphones all day long. We're sitting here on the smartphone. Or we have the computer. It's on all day long. And we are using all our energy in the mental realm, and none of it's in the physical realm. Well, what happens is after everybody's different. For some people, maybe even a couple hours of computer work is enough to make them feel completely spaced out. So we have to kind of limit the mental activity and get into our physical body. And you'll hear that, like I just said, people that are spacey or people that have their head in the clouds. These are people that are not grounded, and they need more grounding exercises or more grounding activities to help them get back into their physical body. Sometimes even people that are thinking or ruminating too much. If you're ruminating over a certain thing for days at a time, your anxiety is just so much that your physical body is blocked, and you can't physically, we cannot physically perform activities as we should be doing them. So these are just 5 tips on how you can stay more grounded and centered during the day. If you have any other ideas, I would love to hear about them. And make sure that you subscribe and like this video. And namaste.